Okay, Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachar.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's a pleasure seeing everybody here again today on the Father's set-apart day as we come together in Shalom. We come together in Shalom, peace, love, and happiness, and we want to make sure that we always do the best that we can with the laws, statutes, and commandments, making sure that we keep the leaven out of our lives, not resurrecting the past, because the past now is going to actually bring up disagreeable spirits. It's exactly what they are. They're disagreeable spirits, and we can't have that at the festivals. And the Shabbat is a festival. Let's try to let sleeping dogs lie. Leave them alone. And the reason why I'm saying some of these things, because there was a whole a nice ceremony that was given before the camera started rolling, and we kind of missed all of that. All right, so I'm just kind of recap some of the things that was said amongst the Mishpachar. Those on Facebook, those on YouTube, you get a chance to hear it. But we have some beautiful ceremonies and testimonies that was shared with us today. The title of today's show is called Lazarus Come Forth. All right, again, Lazarus Come Forth. Before we get started, we pray that everybody gets some type of understanding out of today's lesson. It's not to pick fun or provoke anybody to anger, but it's actually done to motivate us to move forward in the Father's Torah. Before I begin, we want to make sure that we give all esteem to the Father of Yahuah for his love, his mercy, and his promises that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Everything is formulated, everything is established through the covenant that the Father made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Without that promise being made to them, none of us would be here today. All right, so those are our forefathers. And he also made promises to the 12 tribes of Yashra'al, all right? The 12 tribes of Yashra'al. Before we get started, something came up. Even Rakaf of Israel United GOCC? Yeah, GOCC, yeah. He brought out some things that was important. I wanted to share some of that with us today. Let's go to Acts, the 9th chapter. Let's start there, and then we go ahead with the main topic. Acts, the 9th chapter, verses 6 through 7. I'm going to start at verse 3. And as he, which is Shaul, journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined around about him a light from Shamayim. And he, Shaul, fell to the earth, and heard a voice. That's going to be very important. He heard a voice saying unto him, Shaul, Shaul, why persecutest thou me? Just to make sure that everybody is following along, everybody knows who the me is, right? Mashiyach. Right, Mashiyach, hallelujah. And he, Shaul, said, who art thou, sovereign? And the sovereign said, I am Yahusha Mashiyach, whom you persecutest. It is hard for you, Shaul, to kick against the pricks. And he, Shaul, trembled and was astonished and said, Sovereign, what would I have me to do? And the sovereign said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told unto thee what thou must do. And the men which journeyed with Shaul, with him, stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. All right? They heard a voice, but they saw no man. Go to the book of Acts, the 22nd chapter. Acts, the 22nd chapter, verse 9. Verse 9. I'm going to start at verse 6. 6, 7, 8, and 9. And it came to pass as I made the eye to Shaul, I made my journey and was come near unto Damascus about noon. Suddenly there shone from Shamayim a great light round about me. And I fell into the ground and heard a voice saying unto me, Shaul, Shaul, why persecutest thou me? And I answered, Who art thou, O sovereign? And he said unto me, I am Yahusha Mashiyach of Nazareth, who thou persecutest. And they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spoke to me. Now, anybody see anything that's going on here? We went to Acts the 9th chapter, and we're reading now Acts the 22nd chapter. Now, Shaul's revelation. Did anybody see a difference with the testimonies here?
One time he heard, another time he saw.
Correct.
One time he heard the voice, and then the other time he saw the voice, or saw the light.
Right.
So you see, because another time says he was blinded. So it's different accounts. It's not the exact same.
Exactly. Anybody else? Did you see a difference between the two stories?
It was the people that were with him. It says in chapter 9 that they heard the voice.
Right.
And then when you get to 22, it says that they saw the light, but they didn't hear no voice.
Right, exactly.
So that's a little,
Exactly.
But it sounds like he's describing the same instance of him coming from Damascus.
Exactly. What we're going to look at here is this word voice. Because in one verse, it said that they heard the voice, the other name, they heard the voice. And then in the next chapter, it said they didn't hear the voice. So that word voice is going to be very, very important. Let's go to what do you have for that word voice? If you look it up in Greek, in Acts the 9th chapter. I can try to get it here too. This is a little bit faster.
It is the word phone or phone.
Exactly.
It's G5456.
Exactly. So we have the Greek word phone. It means a sound, a tone of an inanimate things as musical instruments, a voice of the sound of uttered words, speech, a language, or a tongue. Probably akin to 53:16 through the idea of a disclosure, a tone, articulate, or to articulate, bestial or artificial. Now, keep that definition in mind. Now I'm going to go to the book of Daniel. No, let's do it this way. This word for voice, we have a noise, sound, and it basically, they heard
It's an S instead of a C.
they heard a voice. They had a voice, they heard a sound. Now this word voice, the same definition. For voice, you also have a tangible language. Now, voice, what's the, how are you spelling the Greek word again?
P-H-O-N-E.
P-H-O-N-E.
O-N-E.
P-H-O-N-E, phone?
Yeah,
it's got
Wow.
two accent marks over
It's got
the
the
E.
accent.
Two accents over the E.
Yeah, the straight
Okay.
over the O and over the E.
Phone, okay. So, they heard a voice or a sound. And then the literal voice was something that's tangible. So there's no contradiction between 9 and 22, because you can hear a sound, but not make out the tangible voice. So in both incidents now, they did hear a voice. They did hear a voice, but what Shaul was able to hear now was a tangible language. And so this is what he heard. He actually heard now the Mashiyach now speaking to him, saying, Shaul, Shaul, why thou persecutest thou me? So I'm just trying to show you here now the difference, the two definitions for the word voice. It's the same word for tangible language and the actual noise, voice, sound, or noise. The same word is being used. The book of Daniel, the 10th chapter. We're going to prove that. Daniel's the 10th chapter, 7 through 9. And I found that interesting because what had happened over the years, people have been saying that, there's a contradictory and all this contradictions in the scriptures, and we can't trust it, and Yahusha is this and Yahusha is that. But with close examining of the scripture, we're going to make heads and tails of this here. The book of Daniel, the 10th chapter, verses 7 through 9. Pay very close attention how this goes. And I, Daniel, saw the vision. So who saw the vision?
Daniel.
Watch this now. For the men that were with me saw not the vision. So you can be in the company of a whole lot of people, and the Father can show you a vision, but I won't be able to see it, and nobody else will be able to see it. So the same thing is happening with Yahusha. All right, they heard the noise, or they heard the voice, but they were not able to make out the voice. So now, this is how we know that the message was actually being given to Yahusha. And we see the same thing happening now with Daniel here, where there was other men there. Daniel saw the vision, but nobody else that was with him actually saw the vision. All right? Okay, there was I left alone, and I saw this, verse 7. And I, Daniel, saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision. But now they were able to now witness a great quaking that fell upon them, so they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone, and saw this great vision, and there remaineth no strength in me. For my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet heard I the voice of his words, not the other men. Yet I heard the voice of his words. And when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And behold, an hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And so I like this posture prayer that he's in. He's on his hands and knees. He's on his knees and his hands are on the ground. So we get into that later, where there's scripture that shares with us on how to actually prostrate ourselves in proper prayer. Because a lot of times, not saying that you can't do it, but a lot of times people might be too tired to get out of bed, so they stay in bed and make their prayers, and then they go about their business. Where what you should do is get up and make acknowledgement that the Father woke you up this morning, and you should actually put yourself in a proper position in order to pray. All right, so we'll talk about that later. What I wanted to share now here is that Daniel now was able to hear the voice and the sound, and it was a tangible language, but the other men that was with him were not able to make heads or tails of what was going on with Daniel. Are there any questions? Yes.
In the Greek Septuagint, the same word for voice is also phone.
Phone, okay.
I checked, and Daniel chapter 10, verse 9.
Got you, okay. Hallelujah, so we on point.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, great. Absolutely, great. Because people are looking for any type of loophole or not to follow Torah. So again, let me just, we want to give all the thanks to the Father of Yahuah for his love, his mercy, and his promises that he made with his people, the 12 tribes of Yashra'al. And we want to go to some scriptures to prove that. We want to go to the book of Baruch. The book of Baruch. The 3rd chapter. Baruch, the 3rd chapter, and let's do. Okay, where's the book of Baruch at? Baruch, the 3rd chapter, verses. What I have in the 3rd chapter, verses 35 to 37. 35, 37. It says, this is our Elohim, so this is personal. This is our Elohim, and there shall none other be accounted of in comparison of him. Again, this is our Elohim, and there shall be none other be accounted of in comparison of him. He hath found out all the ways of knowledge, and hath given it unto Yahuah his servant. So we are the servants of the Father. He has searched out and found out all the ways, and he hath given it to us, his people, and to Israel his beloved. Afterward did he show himself upon earth and converse with men. What is verse 37 saying? I want to make sure everybody is on their toes. I'll read it again. This is our Elohim, and there shall none other be accounted of in comparison to our mighty one. He, which is the Father, hath found out all the ways of knowledge, and hath given it unto Yahuah his servant, and to Israel his beloved. Afterward did he show himself upon earth and converse with men. But now we can't find the Mashiyach in the Old Testament, so we need to know who this is.
Who said that?
Yeah, I mean
Who
that's.
said, where that come from?
Oh yeah. So you can't find the Mashiyach in the Old Testament. So we do see the Mashiyach in the Old Testament through prophetic shadow pictures.
Right.
So we're talking about the Mashiyach. The Mashiyach. That's going to be very, very important. Very important. Let's go to Baruch, the 4th chapter, and we read verses 1 through 6. 1 through 6. This is the book of the commandments of Elohim. Which book is that? Ephesians, Matthew, Colossians, Galatians. Would that be considered the book?
No.
Okay.
Let's talk about Tanak.
Okay, exactly. Okay, I just want to make sure everybody on the same page here. This is the book of the commandments of Elohim, and the law that endureth forever. How long?
Forever.
Forever. All they that keep it shall come into life. But such as leave the commandments of Yahuah Elohim, it says, he shall die. It's just as simple as that. He shall die. This is a covenant. This is a blood covenant. And everybody must follow the laws, statutes, commandments. Again, whoever sways away or breaks away from the commandments of Elohim, it says, he shall die. Turn thee, O Jacob, or return thee, O Jacob, and take heed of it. Walk in the presence of the light. What is the light? Torah. Of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Remember, we had talked about so many times before, is that once we come into Torah, we are now illuminated beings. We have Moshe, when he goes up to the top of the mountain. Whenever you're in the presence of the Father, you now become an illuminated being. When Adam, or before Adam was kicked out of the garden, he was an illuminated being. You never gone into a room and people are like, well, listen, you know what? There's something different about you. So these people now are able to see the Ruach, or the set-apart spirit inside of you. This is what the Torah is supposed to be doing. It sets you apart from everybody else.
That's right.
And the only way that can happen now is that we must make sure that we recognize who our Elohim is, which is Yahuah, and his son Yahusha Mashiyach, and we must follow the Torah. So again, return thee, O Jacob, and take heed of it, which is the Torah, walk in the presence of the light thereof, that you mayest be illuminated. Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. The word strange nation is going to be very, very important. A strange nation. What does it mean when it says a strange nation? Can anybody name me a strange What is a strange nation?
Any nation other than Yashra'al.
Any nation other than Yashra'al. Anybody else have any definitions? What would be a strange nation? Or I put it this way, nation is the Hebrew word which means even people.
Yeah.
So anybody else have any definitions?
I would say a people that has turned to other mighty ones.
Right, so it'll be pretty much aligned with I keep saying here, all right? Let's go to the book of Nehemiah. The book of Nehemiah, and we're going to concentrate here now on a strange nation. Don't give your strength into a strange nation. Nehemiah, the 13th chapter. The 13th chapter, and we're going to read verses 23 to 26. In those days saw I, Nehemiah, Yahudims that had married wives of Ashdod and Ammon and of Moab. And their children spoke half the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Yahudims' language, which is Hebrew, but according to the language of each people. Now, we see here that Nehemiah is actually naming some of these strange nations and people. But what if I told you that Yashra'al can also be a strange nation or people? If you're not following the laws, statutes, and commandments, you could be considered strange. Strange. A strange man, a strange woman. You have to follow Torah. And so that word being illuminated is going to be very important. Because this is what now sets you apart from everybody else. You're following Torah, and nobody wants to fit that description there along with the other nations. Because actually now, if a person from another nation now was to actually follow the law, statutes, commandments, they would not be considered strange. So that, I believe that's going to be very important for us to understand, keeping everything in its proper context. Yes.
When you talk about that being illuminated, it just really makes me think about as far as what the Torah does, and it goes into your inward parts, and if you ever put like a light inside of a lamp or something, it exposes whatever else is in there.
Right.
So when you think about, at least when I think about the Torah being that light, it's exposing whatever's in us so we can get it out, so it can come pure.
Absolutely. And that Hebrew word, even from the very beginning, we have that Hebrew word "or," which means light, and the Mashiyach is the what?
Light.
He's the light of the world. The Mashiyach also told us now is that no man lighteth a candle and hideth it under a bush. You're that light. So let your light shine so that everybody else will be able to see now the Torah that's inside of you.
That's right.
So that word light being illuminated is going to be very important.